presented by Exquisite Timepieces. More about them in the description down below and later in the video. The term affordable luxury can be interpreted in many ways, especially when it comes to watches. Now, what exactly is the definition of affordable, and what makes something a luxury item? Perhaps both of those are a bit subjective, and I guess it sort of depends on your perspective. But in a general sense, at least in my opinion, this watch is an excellent example of affordable luxury. What's up, everybody? I'm Guy, and this is Just Bluefish Watch Reviews, and today we're checking out the Louis Erard by Massena Lab Le Regulateur. I'm not French, so forgive me. Let's just call it the Regulator. And this is thanks in part to my amazing channel sponsor, Exquisite Timepieces, so a big thanks to them for loaning me this watch for the video. Inspired by clocks and marine chronometers of the late 18th and 19th centuries, this collaboration between Louis Erard and Massena Lab captures the aesthetic, the design, and the quality of timepieces from that era, and it delivers it in a modern interpretation. Now, I have to admit, I'm just a big fan of these maritime chronometer-style watches. Whether we're talking about a watch like the Breguet Classique 3137B, which comes in at over 30 grand, or something much more affordable like the Hamilton Khaki Navy Pioneer, I don't know, I just dig them. Of course, this watch that we have here today, this is a bit different. It has a regulator-style dial. Regulator clocks and watches are really easy to recognize by their unique watch face layout, which includes a large central hand to indicate the minutes, with smaller subdials for the hours and the seconds. And speaking of that dial, it is quite nice. The 42mm stainless steel case houses the external flange, double counter, rhodium-plated, circular satin-finished dial, featuring diamond-cut corners and a rhodium-plated grained finish lower plate with opaline center counters in matte silver. Okay, so that certainly was a mouthful. The short description of it is, it's a really cool dial. For me, personally, I just love the Roman numerals. I love Roman numerals on watch dials in general. And of course, I love the handset. Now, speaking of that handset, we have leaf-shaped hands in a blued steel that look fantastic. And that includes all three hands, the central minutes hand, a small seconds hand on a 6 o'clock subdial, and of course the hour hand on the upper counter. The entire display, from the dial to the handset, is an absolutely perfect representation of the designer's inspiration for this watch, which of course is antique marine chronometers. And it's a classic and a timeless design that's, in this case, executed with precision and quality that is really second to none. Now, the watch case itself, as I had mentioned earlier, if I'm not mistaken, it is 42mm, and it is really nicely polished. The watch does offer us 50 meters of water resistance, and it's topped with a beautiful domed sapphire crystal with anti-reflective treatment. The black grained calf leather strap is fantastic. It's supple. It's really well made. I can't say enough good things about it. It features a tone-on-tone stitching with a really nice blue grained calf leather underside lining. And of course, it includes a nice, high quality, high polished stainless steel pin buckle. Now, at the rear of the watch, you're presented with a view of the Sellita SW266-1 automatic movement. This is, of course, a 31 joule automatic running at 28,000 vibrations per hour, and it offers the wearer about 38 to 40 hours of power reserve. And like similar Swiss movements from brands like ETA, including the 2824, the Sellita is a reliable and an accurate workhorse movement, and it's withstood the test of time. Now, do I wish that it had an in-house movement for the price? Well, I know a lot of viewers will make that argument. They will make the argument that it should. But for me personally, I don't mind. I like Sellita movements. I think they're excellent. They're reliable. Like I said, they're accurate. And of course, they're easy to service, so I have no complaints with that. Now, if this watch were, say, 10 times the price, like that Breguet that we mentioned earlier, okay, then I would expect something a little bit different. Now, this watch is available in the silver dialed edition that we have here, and it also comes in a gold dialed variation as well. These watches are limited to just 178 pieces, and it has a retail price of $3,950. Which sort of brings us back to that original thought. Does this watch represent affordable luxury? It's not a sub $1,000 watch, which is what I think most people start to think of or start to consider as being affordable. But relative to brands like Breguet or Patek or Vacheron, Schwarz Etienne, Jacques Dro, or Laurent Ferrier, it's actually pretty affordable at under $4,000. I think a watch like this really competes with options from brands like Nomos, which is fantastic, Oris, which we all love, maybe some Bell and Ross models. I'm a big fan of their square divers, and it also competes with maybe a brand like Ball watches as well, for example. This is, of course, a much different style than what those brands offer for the most part, but that's sort of the point, isn't it? I mean, variety is the spice of life, and having a lot of options available is really good. And not just any old random options, but good, high-quality options that are unique and different. And that's what we have here. Now, one negative for me is that this watch is a little bit stout. Okay, so 42 millimeters in case diameter. That's not too bad, but it is 49.5 millimeters in case length from lug tip to lug tip. And that starts to test the limits of my wrist, which is, to be fair, only 6.5 inches roughly in circumference. That said, if you like a watch that wears a little bit bigger, or if you have a bigger wrist than my little chicken wrists, you should have no problems with this one at all. All that said, I think that this is what would often be described as affordable luxury. It's not an affordable watch, but it is a luxury watch, and amongst luxury watches, the price is pretty good, in my opinion. And I think that this one punches well above its weight class. This video is presented in partnership with Exquisite Timepieces, located in Naples, Florida. Exquisite is an authorized dealer of dozens of watch brands, including Seiko and Grand Seiko, Omega, Oris, Blancpain, Breguet, and many more. Exquisite also has an amazing selection of pre-owned watches with new inventory coming in daily. So if you're looking for your next watch, check their website, exquisitetimepieces.com, or call their store at 239-227-2932, and let them know that you heard about them from Guy and the Just Blue Fish channel. I can't recommend them enough.